Before the frantic pace of modern life, before the screens and the endless noise, there existed a profound stillness. This wasn't just a physical quiet, but a deep, resonant silence within the human spirit. The ancient Egyptians, masters of inner wisdom, understood this truth not as a concept to be studied, but as a living memory encoded within our very being. They knew that genuine evolution isn't about accumulating more knowledge, but about shedding the layers of illusion that keep us from our authentic selves. This isn't just a historical lesson, it's a blueprint for your present reality. They understood that before spoken words, there were potent symbols. Before books, wisdom resided in temples, not just stone structures, but sacred spaces designed to facilitate inner journeys. And critically, before your rational mind took hold, there was the vibrational memory of the soul, a primal knowing that precedes all conscious thought. This journey we embark on together isn't about learning something entirely new. It's a profound process of remembering something ancient, something that has always resided within you. For centuries, the Egyptian initiates didn't merely teach concepts of truth. Instead, they revealed it through profound silence, through precisely tuned vibration, and through sacred rituals of remembrance. Their philosophy was simple yet revolutionary. The soul doesn't evolve by adding external knowledge or dogma. It evolves by removing the false, by dismantling the layers of forgetting. This video isn't just content you're passively consuming. It's designed to be a portal, an energetic gateway. And if you're watching it now, if you've felt a pull towards these words, it's a clear signal that this portal is already active and open within you. Unearthing the forgotten technique in your daily life long before the complexity of language, there was pure vibration. Before the chattering of the human mind, there was the deep, undeniable memory of your essence. And long before you acquired any false beliefs or forgot your true origin, your soul already knew. The ancient Egyptians held a unique perspective. They never believed the soul should be taught anything new. Instead, their entire spiritual framework was built upon the conviction that the soul should simply be remembered, called back to its inherent wisdom. In the hallowed sacred temples of Kemet, nestled between towering stone structures and bathed in the eternal sun, the enlightened priests didn't deliver lectures. They expertly guided initiates through intricate, profound silent rituals. During these rites, the physical body would rest, often entering a deep trance-like state. But the consciousness of the initiate would be encouraged to travel beyond the ordinary confines of reality. It was a symbolic death, a temporary crossing beyond the veil of everyday perception. When these initiates returned from such journeys, they were undeniably transformed. They hadn't merely learned new facts. They had remembered a fundamental truth about themselves. This was not merely intellectual knowledge to be recited. It was a potent frequency, a living vibration that permeated their entire being. It was a secret technique, not because it was inherently dark or forbidden, but precisely because it was too bright, too powerful, too revolutionary to be controlled by external forces or institutions. The Egyptians possessed an intimate understanding that every single soul carries a sacred name, a unique, defining frequency that cannot be spoken aloud in human language, but can only be embodied. That profound name, your soul's signature vibration, lives inside you now, perhaps dormant and silent, but undeniably pulsing. If you're hearing these words and feeling a flicker of recognition, it's a powerful sign that this ancient memory has already begun to stir within your being. The invisible call. Signs of your awakening. Do you ever truly pause to consider the trajectory of your life, the content you encounter? Do you really think you discovered this video by sheer accident? That it just magically appeared on your screen by some random stroke of luck or algorithmic suggestion? The ancient Egyptians would offer a different perspective entirely. They had a concept for this unseen pull, this divine synchronicity, called it Noor, literally the invisible breath of the divine. It was understood as a silent, profound force that begins to move and stir the soul long before the rational mind even becomes consciously aware of its presence. This undeniable call for awakening doesn't primarily originate from outside of you. It begins as something incredibly subtle, an internal nudge. Perhaps it manifests as a quiet weariness of living a life that feels somehow asleep, disconnected from genuine purpose. It might appear as a persistent, quiet question that simply refuses to go away, a query about the meaning of existence that gnaws at you. Or it could be a growing discomfort with the foundational truths and beliefs you were raised to accept without question. This is precisely how the soul begins its slow, deliberate process of stirring within the sarcophagus of the ego, shaking off the inertia of accumulated false identities. You're not truly here to absorb something entirely new. Instead, you are here to consciously remember what never actually left you, what has always been an intrinsic part of your core being. And as that profound remembrance begins its gentle but inexorable rise within your consciousness, the entire world around you initiates a remarkable shift. You start to see signs everywhere, patterns emerging that were once invisible. Time itself can feel different, either expanding or contracting in mysterious ways. People might gracefully exit your life, much like misaligned puzzle pieces that no longer fit the evolving picture of your being. And, often more surprisingly, others will appear, entering your life like clear echoes of ancient promises, souls with whom you share a deep, unspoken resonance. This isn't your overactive imagination, nor is it wishful thinking. This is the tangible, visceral first alignment between your unique vibration and your true identity. The enlightened priests and priestesses of the Temple of Isis imparted a profound wisdom. The very first undeniable sign of an authentic spiritual awakening is when the external world gradually loses its absolute hold over you, and concurrently, your internal light begins its undeniable rise. This inner illumination does not emanate from mere intellectual understanding. It does not arise from spiritual ego or any self-aggrandizing sense of superiority. Rather, it emerges from your original frequency, the pure, unadulterated essence pulsing steadily and silently beneath all the superficial noise and distractions of life. This call, this divine summons, does not shout with urgency. Instead, it whispers with profound intimacy. But if you are willing to truly listen, with your inner ear attuned, it will unfailingly lead you back home to yourself. You weren't drawn to this profound understanding by mere chance or random circumstance. You were gently but powerfully pulled by sacred resonance. This ancient Egyptian technique we're now reactivating isn't a complex method of doing more. It is, at its core, a profound technique of remembering. And to genuinely remember is, without doubt, the soul's most revolutionary act. Why it was hidden? The sovereignty of the awakened soul. Not everything was lost to the sands of time or the ravages of history. Some things, indeed, were hidden on purpose. The profound Egyptian technique of vibrational remembrance didn't simply vanish or fade away into obscurity. It was deliberately sealed, carefully protected, not because it posed an inherent danger in itself, but because it was understood to be too powerful, too liberating to be easily controlled by any external authority. The ancients, in their deep wisdom, knew a fundamental truth. When the human soul fully awakens to its inherent power, it becomes irrevocably sovereign. The sovereign soul, by its very nature, cannot be ruled or manipulated by anyone or anything outside of itself. This deep understanding explains why what was once openly taught and practiced in the magnificent temples of Luxor, Karnak, and Dendera, conveyed through intricate symbols, profound initiations, and sacred periods of silence, was slowly but systematically dismantled. The very initiation chambers, once portals to inner truth, were gradually replaced with rigid dogma and prescribed beliefs. The sacred mantras, once resonant keys to inner states, became empty words, stripped of their vibrational power. And the subtle, profound sound of the soul, that inner knowing, was deliberately drowned out, replaced by the pervasive echo of fear and external conformity. What was inherently internal, a direct experience of the divine, was transformed into an external, often performative ceremony. What was truly sacred and deeply personal became a guarded secret. But the true secret was never the technique itself or a hidden ritual. The profound secret was, who are you, truly, without the heavy burden of the world's expectations and conditioning layered on top of you? And that truth, that radical self-sovereignty, was considered far too dangerous to leave exposed and accessible in the open. The threat wasn't primarily to earthly empires or established religions, at least not directly. The profound threat was to the very system of collective forgetting, a meticulously constructed matrix designed to keep humanity distracted, divided, and utterly disconnected from its authentic, powerful self. The The wise Egyptian priests articulated this with chilling precision. If you wish to hide something sacred, place it where no one will ever think to look, within themselves. And so, it came to pass. The profound technique was expertly hidden inside you, not in a dusty scroll, but deeply encoded in your energetic field. It was subtly written in the rhythm of your breath, the very life force animating you. It was intricately inscribed in the silent, steady pulse of your spiritual heart. Now, after countless millennia, after thousands of years of this deliberate obscuring, this sacred vibration is powerfully rising again, not as some external knowledge to be acquired, but as an inevitable, undeniable remembrance. Those who meticulously tried to erase it, to bury its memory, ultimately failed for one irrefutable reason. You simply cannot destroy what is eternally etched into the soul itself. They buried the papyri, they desecrated the physical temples, but the true temple was never touched, never defiled. Because that true temple lives where linear time cannot reach, in the boundless eternity of your consciousness. And now, with the turning of cycles, it is beginning to open again. The 3 keys of reawakening. Practical application. The Egyptians, in their sophisticated understanding of consciousness, didn't rely on complex manuals or instruction booklets for spiritual awakening. Instead, they recognized that the journey was accessed through portals, energetic gateways that could only be opened with a very specific, resonant vibration. They didn't engage in dry intellectual doctrine. Their entire existence was a living embodiment of resonance. In the revered mystery schools of ancient Egypt, initiates weren't seeking merely more information or intellectual data. Their true quest was for 3 fundamental keys that would powerfully reawaken the soul's eternal memory, keys that would unlock the inherent wisdom lying dormant within. These 3 profound keys still exist, active and alive. They reside within you now, perhaps dormant, but ready to be ignited. And the moment to consciously utilize them has arrived. First key, vibrational silence. This is far more than the mere absence of external sound. It is the silence of absolute presence, a profound state of being. In the ancient echoing chambers dedicated to Isis and deep beneath the sprawling temple of Saqqara, initiates would willingly remain in a state of complete, unwavering silence for days, sometimes even weeks. Their purpose wasn't to strain to hear something external, but rather to methodically clear the internal noise, the relentless chatter of the mind, the echoes of external demands, the static of conditioning. The Egyptians understood that the very first veil, the primary obstruction to true perception, is always the mind. And while the mind relentlessly talks, analyzes, and judges, the soul patiently waits in stillness. To apply this in your reality, carve out intentional pockets of true silence each day. This could be 5 minutes in the morning before the world wakes up, or 10 minutes before bed. Turn off your phone. Disconnect from media. Close your eyes. Don't try to do anything or achieve a specific state. Simply be present with the silence. Notice the sounds outside, then notice your breath, then the subtle hum of your own being. Vibrational silence doesn't isolate you from the world. Paradoxically, it profoundly realigns you with your origin. The true, authentic voice of your being, your intuitive guidance, can only be clearly heard in the serene center of stillness. That is precisely where your unique frequency, your soul's signature, begins its powerful process of remembering itself. This practice isn't just about peace. It's about discerning clarity and reconnecting to your inner navigational system. Second key, the living symbol. Egyptian symbols were never merely decorative or illustrative. They were exquisitely designed to activate. Considered the ubiquitous Eye of Horus, it wasn't simply an amulet to ward off evil. It was a potent vibrational mirror, reflecting the wholeness and protective power of cosmic sight. The serene lotus flower wasn't just a beautiful bloom. It was a profound symbol of internal rebirth, of purity rising from the murky depths. The magnificent Urias serpent, majestically poised on the pharaoh's forehead, wasn't mere ornamentation. It was the unmistakable sign of awakened energy, rising dynamically to activate the third eye and crown chakras. To engage with this key in your life, choose a sacred symbol that intuitively resonates with you. Whether it's an ancient Egyptian one, or a universal symbol of creation, transformation, or protection. Place it where you can see it daily. When you focus on this symbol, do so with your full presence. Don't just imagine it. Instead, allow yourself to remember it with your inner senses. This isn't an act of belief, but an act of deep inner knowing. Allow the symbol to communicate its frequency to you, to stir something within your subconscious, because symbols speak the primal language of the soul, a tongue that bypasses the limitations of spoken words and is understood directly instinctively. They are triggers for ancient internal programs. Third key, resonance with the hidden name. Every single soul the Egyptians proclaimed carries a secret name. This isn't a sound, a frenetic utterance, but rather a living frequency, a unique vibrational signature that immutably defines its divine identity within the vast tapestry of the cosmos. This name, your true essence, cannot be given to you by another. It must be recognized by you from within yourself. They refer to it as Ren Netter, the divine name, the essence of self. And critically, it's not something you say or declare. It is something you profoundly embody. To practice this key, this requires a deep, ongoing process of self-inquiry and alignment. Ask yourself, who am I truly, beneath all the roles, expectations, and fears? Pay attention to moments where you feel most authentic, most at peace, most powerful without effort. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions align with that core feeling of truth and authenticity, you are, in essence, vibrating your Ren Netter. When you begin to consistently align with that hidden name, that core frequency, you experience a remarkable shift. You no longer experience nagging doubt or uncertainty. You simply know. There are no longer endless questions, only a profound sense of certainty that resides in stillness. You don't need to speak this name aloud to anyone. You simply live it from the inside out. And when these three potent keys, vibrational silence, the living symbol, and resonance with your hidden name, come together and are practiced consistently, the ancient technique doesn't just awaken as a concept. It begins to powerfully live through you, transforming your reality from the inside out. How to recognize your truth, a vibrational compass in the radiant solar temples of Heliopolis. The ancients imparted a profound teaching. Your real name isn't spoken. It is remembered with the whole being. This wisdom highlights that truth doesn't shout, it resonates. It doesn't engage in endless arguments or debates. It simply and powerfully reveals itself. It's like the first piercing light of dawn, breaking through the profound darkness of an inner chamber, illuminating everything. And that light, that undeniable truth, is you. But how? In a world that has diligently taught us to forget, do we truly know what is authentic? How do you discern the subtle yet profound difference between your inherent essence and the countless echoes, the borrowed identities, the external noise? The Egyptians provided a sacred formula for this discernment, not one based on complex numbers or intellectual calculations, but rooted in pure vibration. If something, an idea, a person, a choice, a feeling, brings you closer to your real self, if it creates a quiet, subtle warmth in your chest, if it bestows a profound sense of peace before it brings explanation or logical reasoning, then it is truth. Truth, in its pure form, does not trap you in a rigid belief system. Rather, it frees you from the very need to explain or justify. It isn't primarily mental or conceptual. It is deeply, viscerally vibrational. It doesn't need to convince you of anything. Instead, it simply recognizes you, and in that recognition, something ancient and powerful rises from deep within. It's akin to the Ba, the winged soul in Egyptian mythology, gracefully lifting out of the physical body to effortlessly remember its divine name and its true origin. This truth doesn't arrive as a new idea to be pondered. It arrives as an undeniable presence that permeates your being. You cease the endless search for external proof or validation, because now you are the proof. Your physical body subtly aligns. Your breath naturally deepens and shifts. Your gaze becomes more profound, holding a quiet knowing. And suddenly, without needing to learn anything new, you simply know. This was always within me. It is not new. It is older than time itself and infinitely deeper than any thought or concept. And now, this inherent knowing, this ancient truth, begins its undeniable rise through you. The language of your soul's sacred name. Ren Netter in action. Ren Netter, the divine frequency. The ancient Egyptians, with their sophisticated cosmological understanding, knew that everything that exists within the universe possesses a name, an inherent identity. However, they also understood that not every name can be spoken aloud in human language. The most sacred name, your true name, is not the one you received at birth, nor any title you earn in this life. It is the profound vibrational name your soul has carried since before time began, woven into the very fabric of eternal creation. They meticulously preserved this understanding, referring to it simply as Ren Netter, the divine name. Again, it is not a mere sound. It is a living vibration, a unique and exquisitely intricate, energetic frequency that is indelibly etched into the eternal tapestry of existence itself. When you consciously vibrate this name, when you resonate with this core essence even without knowing its specific word or form, you don't merely get closer to the divine. You profoundly remember that you are an indivisible part of the divine. This is why the wise priests of Luxor taught that to pronounce this name is to consciously awaken the sleeping God within. But here lies a truth that perhaps no one has explicitly told you. You don't need to intellectually know this name as a spoken word, a combination of letters. This is because the soul does not communicate through human linguistic structures or alphabets. The soul speaks through states of being. Your profound divine name, your Ren Netter, truly reveals itself. It expresses itself most fully when your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions are in perfect, coherent alignment with your purest essence. It is not spoken, it is embodied. And once you begin to truly embody this divine frequency, you will observe that the entire world around you begins to respond in kind. Doors that were once stubbornly closed begin to mysteriously open. Old, limiting patterns that kept you stuck begin to gracefully shift and dissolve. Coincidences, as you once understood them, begin to disappear, placed by an intricate web of sacred synchronicities, guiding you effortlessly. This is because the universe, in its infinite intelligence, is no longer merely responding to the limited desires or fears of your ego. It is now powerfully responding to your authentic Ren. In that sacred moment of deep alignment, you no longer need to seek external permission or validation because you inherently understand. You are the key. You are the password. You are the portal, unfolding dynamically from within. This is the profound, silent sound that the initiates heard in the deepest, most sacred halls of the temple. When all external words fell away, and all that remained was the absolute vibrational certainty of pure being. And then, with their eyes gently closed, they began to see. With their physical bodies perfectly still, they began to travel beyond the veil. And with their divine name powerfully pulsing in the center of their chest, they returned, profoundly remembering the moment of crossing, embracing transformation. There arrives a pivotal moment in every soul's profound journey, distinct turning point where the seeker ceases walking forward with their mere feet and begins, instead, to walk with an undeniable, resonant presence. This sacred moment is known as the crossing. In ancient Egyptian lore, this pivotal transition was exquisitely symbolized as the weighing of the heart, a sacred and solemn rite conducted before the majestic goddess Mat, the divine embodiment of truth, justice, and cosmic order. In this symbolic ritual, the soul's physical heart was placed upon one side of a great scale, balanced by a single, pristine feather of Mat on the other. This was never understood as a judgment imposed by external gods or deities. Rather, it was a profoundly internal alignment, a precise calibration of one's own being. Because to truly pass beyond the veil, to cross this threshold, the soul had to be utterly light. Not light in the sense of forgetting or being unburdened by life experience, but light from the successful release of illusion, from the shedding of all that was not authentic. And that, precisely, is the profound moment you are facing right now. Everything that is not truly, authentically you begins a natural, sometimes intense process of falling away. The masks you've worn to please others, the old roles you played for external approval, the borrowed fears you unconsciously adopted from society, the inherited desires that were never truly yours, all of these begin to be gracefully, yet powerfully, burned away by the sacred fire of truth. What then remains? Only that which is eternal, indestructible, the pure, unadulterated vibration of your being. You don't need to physically die to cross this profound threshold. But you absolutely do need to let die the character, the old self, the one who diligently learned to please, to hide, to control, to conform, to shrink themselves to fit into prescribed boxes. Because the real you doesn't seek to fit in anywhere. It inherently, effortlessly, already belongs. At this pivotal crossing, you feel a subtle yet utterly irreversible shift within your core. You realize, with profound clarity, that you are no longer just thinking about spirituality or intellectualizing concepts. You are powerfully embodying it, breathing it, living it, with every fiber of your being. You are no longer merely visiting a spiritual temple. You are the temple, a sacred vessel of divine consciousness. And life in its infinite wisdom begins to respond directly and precisely to this profound vibration emanating from you. Spoken words become less important, less necessary. Truth begins to express itself more powerfully through action, through authentic presence. Old, limiting cycles and patterns that once defined your life simply begin to collapse on their own, dissolving effortlessly, because your awakened soul simply no longer recognizes them as part of its path. This is the undeniable turning point where the path ceases to be an external quest for something lost and transforms into a living, breathing, sacred remembrance. The Egyptian crossing wasn't a ritual of death in the final sense. It was a profound rebirth with full awareness. And now, your inner Nile, the river of your own consciousness, begins to flow powerfully again. You are not returning to some idealized past. Instead, you are actively bringing the ancient present into your now, consciously integrating timeless wisdom into your everyday existence. You are crossing, and what comes next won't be about seeking anymore. It will be about holding the memory, embodying your truth with every single step you take. Walk as one who remembers. Embodied wisdom. After the initiate had successfully crossed the veil, after their profound journey of remembrance, the wise Egyptian priests didn't bestow upon them a new name or a new title. Instead, they imparted something far more fundamental, a new rhythm. Because one who truly remembers, one who is reconnected with their deepest essence, doesn't just think differently. They walk differently. The very gate, the presence of an awakened soul, carries a subtle but undeniable gravity. This isn't arrogance or self-importance. It is a profound, quiet presence, an inner knowing that radiates outwards. The true initiate, the one who remembers, doesn't need to loudly claim anything, doesn't need to prove their worth. They simply radiate what they know, embody their truth, and the world, in its infinite wisdom, responds accordingly. To walk as one who remembers is to live unmasked, to shed the pretense and expectations of others. It means to consciously stop asking for permission to be whole, for you inherently are. It means courageously refusing to shrink back into who you once were, simply to keep others comfortable in their own forgetting. This profound way of being means choosing to speak less and vibrate more, allowing your energetic presence to convey what words often cannot. It means consciously transforming seemingly simple, mundane gestures into powerful echoes of the inner temple. Eating with deep awareness, truly savoring each bite. Looking upon the world with genuine reverence, seeing the divine in everything. Breathing consciously deeply, as if each breath is a profound prayer, a communion with the sacred. Acting with such presence and integrity, as if the very gods within you are watching, guiding your every move. This isn't done to impress anyone, but to honor your frequency, to live in constant alignment with your divine essence. The Egyptians deeply understood that after the initial awakening, the soul must diligently learn to sustain its high vibration and movement. It's relatively easy to touch remembrance in moments of isolated stillness, in meditation, or in quiet solitude. But the true revolutionary path is to consistently remember in the middle of the world, amidst its challenges, its distractions, its demands. That is precisely when the ancient technique becomes truly real, truly integrated into your life. Not when you are alone in peaceful contemplation, but when you are challenged by circumstances, misunderstood by others, or even dismissed. And still, through it all, you do not forget who you truly are. This is the real ritual, to live authentically among those who are still asleep, without falling back into the slumber yourself.
Ah.
To walk as one who remembers is to be a lighthouse, radiating guiding light without needing to desperately shine or be seen.
Ah.
It's to be profoundly present in every moment without needing external validation. It's to know, deep in your bones, that real power doesn't reside in performing outward magic or grand displays, but in living with such profound coherence that the world organically begins to harmonize around you. You are no longer searching for the path ahead. You are the path in motion. And one who walks remembering effortlessly activates remembrance in others, often without uttering a single word. The collective awakening. A silent revolution. Something truly profound is happening in our world right now. But it isn't loud. It's not headlining the news. It's not trending on social media platforms. And precisely because of its silent, unassuming nature, it is undeniably real. The ancient Egyptians had a term for those involved in this quiet, pervasive awakening. They called them the Shamsu, meaning the followers of the light of Horus. These were understood as souls incarnated across countless lifetimes, bound by a shared, sacred mission, to remember their own divine essence, and to gently, intuitively, help others do the same. You are absolutely not alone in this journey. In quiet corners across every continent, men and women from all walks of life are beginning to hear the same subtle inner whisper. Something inside me is waking up. Some among them don't yet have the language to name this profound shift. Others can no longer ignore the insistent call of their soul. But all, irrespective of their background or current understanding, feel the same undeniable truth. The time of remembrance has truly arrived. And perhaps the most sacred, most revolutionary aspect of this awakening is that it is unfolding largely in silence. It requires no grand external temples to be built, no new dogmas to be rigidly adhered to, no perfect, charismatic figures to follow. The real spiritual revolution, the deepest transformation, is unfolding in ordinary bodies within simple, everyday lives, in the profound connection of eyes that meet and remember without a single word. Have you noticed this phenomenon around you? People are consciously stepping back from the relentless noise of the external world. They are feeling an invisible, undeniable pull to look inward, to breathe more consciously, to seek that which cannot be bought or sold, to remember that which cannot be taught by any external source. This isn't just a passing trend or a new algorithm dictating behavior. This is a mass vibrational alignment, a collective shift in consciousness. The Egyptians, in their foresight, prophesied that one day, initiates from every age and every lineage would spiritually reunite. Not necessarily in one physical place, but in one resonant frequency. That day, profoundly, is today. And this powerful encounter, this very moment of connection between us, is now. Because every single time you consciously choose to remember who you truly are, you powerfully strengthen the invisible, intricate web of awakened souls who are silently, profoundly changing the world without needing to physically control or dominate it. Not through brute force, but through pure, undeniable frequency. And no empire, no system of forgetting, can ever halt a revolution that unfolds from such a source. You are not alone. The trigger of remembrance in others. In every sacred Egyptian temple, there were strategically placed mirrors. These were not mirrors made of glass, but of meticulously polished bronze, designed not merely to reflect the physical face, but to serve a far deeper purpose. To profoundly remind the initiate, you are the reflection of the divine in human form. The ancient masters deeply understood a crucial spiritual principle. The soul doesn't fully awaken to its magnificent potential until it sees its own inherent light powerfully reflected in another. This means you are not merely here for your own personal journey of remembrance. You're here to become a living, breathing activation for those who are still caught in the slumber of forgetting. And this profound activation doesn't primarily happen through eloquent words or persuasive arguments. It happens through embodied vibration. Because when another soul encounters someone who genuinely lives what they remember, who embodies their truth, something ancient, something deeply familiar, stirs within them. Something they perhaps didn't even consciously know they had lost. And if you're watching this, if you've been on any kind of awakening path, You've already been that pivotal meeting, that resonant mirror for someone else, even in silence, even without consciously knowing it. Every single time you consciously chose truth over performance, stillness over frantic reaction, unconditional love over fear-based control, you were functioning as a mirror. And in that clear reflection, others unconsciously saw a part of themselves they had forgotten, a spark of their own divinity. That precisely is how awakening gently, yet powerfully, spreads. You are not required to carry the entire weight of the world on your shoulders. But you are called to live with such unwavering vibrational coherence that the world, simply by being near your presence, begins to remember what it truly is. The Egyptians called this profound resonance hika, which translates to the sacred magic of living truthfully, speaking consciously, and vibrating with pure intention. You don't have to do more, simply have to be fully here, fully present in your authentic truth. And in that profound presence, you transform into an invisible gate. Every single person who passes through your energetic field, every soul that looks deeply into your eyes, every heart that intuitively hears your silence receives something invaluable. Even if they don't immediately understand it, even if they consciously resist it, even if they initially run from it, the seed is planted. And that sacred seed has a profound, single name: remembrance. Final call? Step through the portal. The portal has already opened. If you've made it this far, if you're still listening, it means something deep inside you, your inner knowing, already understood. Perhaps it came as a gentle whisper, a quiet intuition. Perhaps it roared through your being like an undeniable fire, a sudden surge of recognition. But something unmistakably brought you here, to this moment. And that something doesn't miss its mark. You are not watching this by chance, not by algorithm alone. You are profoundly responding to a call that began long before your given name, long before your physical body was formed, long before this current lifetime. What you felt, what you experienced in this video, wasn't merely content to be consumed. It was a powerful surge of sacred remembrance. And remembrance, true remembrance, doesn't want to be saved or simply held as a concept. It yearns deeply to be lived. So do not let this powerful flame, this inner knowing, fade into the background of your daily life. Leave a clear signal in the visible world that your soul has awakened. Take a moment, go to the comments section below, and simply authentically write, "I remember." This isn't just a phrase. It's a powerful frequency, an energetic declaration that travels beyond the screen. Like this video, not for numbers or vanity, but so that the platform's algorithm can help spread this profound message of remembrance to those who are still caught in the dense fog of forgetting. Share this video with someone you feel deep in your heart needs to remember who they truly are. You might just be the mirror, the living reflection they've been patiently waiting for. And finally, subscribe to Seeds of Akasha. Don't subscribe to merely follow a teacher or an external voice, but to walk together, side by side, as silent initiates from the same ancient lineage. Because the time of waiting is unequivocally over. And the soul that awakens now, in this pivotal moment, inherently awakens others. The real revolution is silent. It is vibrational. And it has already begun with you. You are not here to learn. You are here to remember. And remembrance, for you, has already begun.